It was ridiculous how fast your life could switch from boring to terrifying. One moment I was joking about summoning demons with my roommate, and the next, something actually answered, something with silver eyes and a smile sharp enough to make my soul shiver. I didn't know then that he wouldn't leave. Or worse, that I wouldn't want him to. My name is Elijah Moreno, a kid from Santa Rosa, California who moved across the country to a small Massachusetts town called Havenbrook for grad school. I used to think loneliness was just part of being in your 20s. Something poetic, something dramatic, something temporary. Then Rowan appeared, if that was even his real name, and suddenly loneliness wasn't my biggest problem anymore. Being wanted was. That night had started the same as every other stupid Thursday in our off-campus rental. My roommate, Tim, had dragged in a thrift store Ouija board, the kind with worn letters and a cheap wooden planchette that squeaked when you moved it. He thought it was hilarious. I thought it was dusty. Neither of us thought it was dangerous. The candles he lit were crooked and smelled like synthetic vanilla. The air felt heavy, but I blamed it on the old heating system that liked to give up at inconvenient times. "Come on, Eli. One question," Tim insisted, nudging the planchette toward me. "I'm only doing this because I'm bored," I muttered, setting my fingers lightly on the wood. "We asked the usual dumb questions. Is anyone here? What's your name? Do ghosts pay taxes?" Nothing happened. So when Tim left to pee, I stayed behind, rolling my eyes at myself. I was 23 in graduate school, allegedly an adult, and sitting alone with a toy. But the thing about loneliness, it knows the exact right moment to whisper. My voice cracked the silence. "Fine," I said quietly. "If anything is out there, show me something real. Just once." The candle flames snapped sideways. I jerked. "Okay, no. Nope. That's not." Cold washed down my spine like liquid night. Then something moved behind me. Not a footstep, not a breeze. Something heavier, intentional, present. "Elijah." My skin crawled. No one was supposed to be in the house. "Elijah." The voice murmured again, close enough that I felt its breath brush my ear. I turned, and the world changed. He stood near the doorway, tall and unreal. His silver hair drifting as though underwater, eyes glowing faintly like the moon had decided to take human form. He wore something that looked halfway between shadows and fabric, shifting with every breath he took. His face too beautiful, too sharp, held an expression I couldn't place. Awe, hunger, recognition. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. "It has been a long time," he said, tilting his head as though studying something precious. "You called. I came." "Two wasn't serious," I stammered. He smiled. It was devastating. "Intent does not matter. A heart calling for someone will always be heard." My heart? My ridiculous, lonely heart? I stepped back. He stepped forward. The air in the room bent toward him like he was gravity. "What are you?" I whispered. "A guardian," he answered. "Of sorts." That doesn't sound reassuring. It wasn't meant to be. He reached out, fingertips brushing the air near my cheek but not touching. "You summoned me, Elijah Moreno, and now I am bound to you. No, undo it. Go back. Go wherever you came from." A strange sadness flickered across his face. "I cannot." Then his gaze softened, warmer, gentler. "And even if I could, I'm no longer certain I would want to." That was the night everything cracked open. The next morning, my mind tried to convince me none of it had happened. Sleep paralysis, stress, too much caffeine, whatever. Except Rowan didn't vanish with the sunlight. He was in my kitchen, drinking my coffee. Or at least holding my coffee, because he didn't actually drink it, just stared at the steam like it was a rare phenomenon. I froze in the doorway. He looked up, eyes brightening. "Good morning. Humans enjoy this beverage." "Yes. Please don't call me human like you're browsing pets at the shelter." "I apologize." He set the mug down. "Good morning, Elijah." God help me, the way he said my name did something to my spine. I ran a hand over my face. "This is insane." "Insane," he repeated thoughtfully. "Is this term related to emotional overwhelm?" "Something like that." He nodded with exaggerated seriousness. as if he were taking notes. Then yes, this situation is quite insane. I blinked. Did you just make a joke? His smile was small but unmistakably proud. I tried, and somehow that made me laugh. Just a little. A dangerous little. Tim barged in a few moments later, not even glancing at Rowan. He walked right past him. Dude, he said, did you leave the fireplace open last night? I swear the drafts here are. I grabbed his arm. You see him, right? See who? My blood chilled. I looked back. Rowan was still there, watching, smiling faintly. Tim didn't react. He cannot perceive me unless I wish it, Rowan murmured. Your kind is fragile. I will not overwhelm your friend. Fragile, I hissed under my breath. You summoned me with a whisper and nearly passed out when I arrived. Okay, fair. But when Tim left for class, Rowan stayed, and stayed, and stayed. Whenever I moved, he followed. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to feel. Do you hover over everyone you guard? I snapped once when I caught him inches behind me while I brushed my teeth. I am not hovering. You're literally hovering. I am watching, he corrected gently. There is a difference. Not really. Then I will strive to be less watchful. He took one large step back, still staring. I groaned. You're impossible. His voice dropped, soft as falling ash. I have been called much worse by those who feared me. But impossible. That is new. Something in his tone made my chest pull tight. I didn't want to feel anything. Not curiosity. Not the electric awareness threading between us. But he wasn't dangerous in the way I expected. He was dangerous because he cared. Because he looked at me like I was something worth crossing worlds for. 3 days after he appeared, I caved. I had to know more. We walked along the quiet streets of Havenbruchwell. I walked, he drifted like walking was optional. The autumn air was crisp. The sky bruised purple and orange. Fallen leaves skittered at our feet. Where exactly did you come from? I asked. A realm adjacent to yours, he replied. A place without time, without form. Or, with forms you would not understand. Try me. He thought for a long moment. Imagine silence shaped into a city. Imagine light with weight. Imagine emotions as weather. That's beautiful, I admitted. It is merely accurate. And you just left it? Because I said something stupid during a Ouija session? His silver hair caught the streetlights, glowing softly. It wasn't your words. It was the intention beneath them. What intention? You asked for something real. His voice warmed. I came because you meant it. I swallowed hard. You misunderstand, he continued, gaze lowering. Most who summon beings like me desire power, revenge, answers. You wanted truth, connection. I kicked a pebble absently. That doesn't mean I wanted you. No, he agreed. But I am here nonetheless. The street was empty around Usquiat, peaceful, eerie. He looked almost human in that moment, almost vulnerable. You said you're a guardian, I said quietly. So what exactly are you protecting me from? He hesitated. A cold wind slipped between us. Elijah, he said slowly. When a bond like ours forms, it is not unnoticed, not by others, not by those who would rather destroy what they cannot have. My stomach tightened. Others like you? His jaw clenched. Worse. That should have scared me more than it did. But all I could think about was the way his hands flexed, like he wanted to reach for me and stop himself. Rowan, why do you care so much? His eyes burned with something fragile and fierce. Because, he whispered. For the first time in all my existence, someone called and did not fear me. Someone saw me, and he swallowed, the sound almost human. I want to remain seen. The world seemed to pause around us. I felt that sentence in my bones. But wanting him was a fire I wasn't ready to hold. So I stepped back. He didn't move. Elijah, he said softly. I will not touch you unless you ask. I will not stay if you command me to leave. His gaze lowered. Just tell me what you want. I didn't have the courage to answer. Not then. Not when the air between us was too warm, too charged, too dangerous. But the truth was already growing like a fault line in my chest. I wanted him, and that terrified me more than any supernatural threat could. But Rowan wasn't the only thing that had followed me since that night. On the fourth evening, the first sign appeared. A shadow moved across the street as we headed home. Not a person, not an animal. Something darker, heavier, slithering across the pavement like it was searching for something. Paused, turned, and looked straight at me. My breath hitched. "Rowan, I see it." His voice sharpened instantly. His form shifted subtly, shadows curling around his wrists like smoke. "Stay behind me." The shadow shape elongated, stretching unnaturally, its edges flickering like a dying flame. When it spoke, its voice sounded like broken glass dragged across stone. "Found. You." My skin crawled violently. Rowan moved in front of me, posture rigid, protective. "You do not belong here," he warned, his voice resonating unnaturally through the air. The thing hissed, then lunged. Rowan's hand snapped up, unleashing a burst of shimmering force that cracked the pavement. The shadow shrieked, convulsed, and dissolved into a smear of darkness that sank into the ground. Silence fell. My knees nearly buckled. "What the hell was that?" "A seeker," Rowan said, turning to me with eyes still glowing fiercely. "Drawn to the bond between us." "Drawn to me?" "To us," he corrected softly. "And it wanted to hurt me." His gaze softened, guilt flickering through his expression. "Yes." I swallowed tightly. "So because you came, I'm in danger now." Rowan looked as if I'd stabbed him. "If that is true," he whispered, "then I will spend every breath left to me making sure nothing touches you." My chest ached. My fear twisted into something tangled: danger, longing, confusion, hope. I didn't know yet which one would win. But I knew one thing clearly. Rowan wasn't leaving, and neither were the things hunting him. And somehow, the thought of losing him scared me more than any monster in the dark. Rowan insisted on walking me home every night after the Seeker attack, even though walking wasn't really what he did. He glided, barely touching the ground, like gravity was more of a suggestion than a rule. I told him it was creepy. He told me he was trying to be considerate. "You don't know how to be considerate," I muttered as we reached the small, ivy-coated brick house my roommates and I rented. "I am learning," he replied genuinely. "Each day with you teaches me something new." "That's oddly sweet." "It is merely true." He stood at the porch steps while I pulled out my keys. The moonlight turned his skin silver blue, almost translucent, as if he was made of some delicate mineral that would shatter if I looked at him too long. "Elijah," he said quietly, "tonight, sleep with salt near your door." That's a very witchy sentence. It is a practical one. Is something going to try to kill me again? His silence was answer enough. "And you're telling me this now?" I hissed. "I did not want to frighten you. You literally fought a nightmare shadow monster in front of the Duncan last night. I think we passed frightening about 6 chapters ago." He hesitated. "If I frightened you," he said slowly, "then I have failed." I sighed, tired in a way that wasn't physical. "Rowan, you didn't fail." His eyes brightened. "Just a little. Just enough to hurt." "Good night," I said, turning toward the door. "Elijah." I froze. "If anything happens, call me. You can hear me from another realm," I deadpanned. "Pretty sure you can hear me through a wooden door." He smiled, small and aching. "Yes, but I wish to hear you say it." I looked at him, too long, too openly, and I closed the door before I could say something I couldn't take back. That night I dreamed. Not normal dreams, no messy jumbles of memory or stress. This was sharper, colder, like someone had wrapped my mind in winter. I was standing in a long hallway made of glass. The sky above was swirling ink, streaked with lightning that made no sound. At the far end stood a figure tall, thin, wearing a crown made of shadow thorns. His face was obscured, but his presence pressed against my chest like a weight. When he spoke, my bones vibrated. You have taken something that belongs to me. Dark veins snaked across the glass floor toward me, cracking it in jagged lines. My voice wouldn't come. My limbs wouldn't move. You called him, the figure said, and now you think he is yours. The shadows stretched closer. But he was mine long before your name stained the air. A burst of silver light erupted beside Muirm, fierce, familiar. Rowan appeared, eyes blazing, his chest rising with ragged breaths. Stay away from him, he snarled. The crowned figure laughed a sound that made the hallway tremble. You protect him? How quaint. Have you told him what he is to you? Have you told him what you owe? Rowan moved in front of me, his entire body trembling with fury. This is not your realm, Morvith. Morvith. The name felt like broken teeth in my head. A threat, promise, curse. He is bound to me, Morvith said, pointing directly at my chest. And you cannot keep what is mine. Rowan stepped forward, voice low and brutal. I will destroy my bond before I let you take him. Morvith's shadowed face seemed to twist in amusement. Would you? He murmured. Knowing what that would do to him? Cracks spiderwebbed beneath our feet. Elijah? Rowan whispered. Reaching for me, the floor shattered. I felt Rowan's voice broke as he dove after me, then everything went dark. I woke with a scream lodged in my throat. My room was freezing, the air thick with something metallic and wrong. The salt I'd left near the door was scattered across the floor, blown away by a gust of air that shouldn't have been possible indoors. Rowan was beside the bed in an instant, not appearing, not materializing, just there. Elijah, look at me. His hands hovered over my shoulders, shaking slightly. Did he speak to you? I pulled in a breath. Who? The guy with the evil prom king crown. His face went stark white. You saw Morvith. Yeah. And he wasn't exactly handing out friendship bracelets. Elijah. His voice broke in a way I'd never heard. I am so sorry. I should not have left you alone. You told me to sleep with Salt. You didn't tell me I was going to get front row seats to the supernatural threat of the month. He closed his eyes, pained. You must understand, Morvith is not merely another being. He is a ruler, collector. He takes what interests him, and he does not return it. And you interest him? No, Rowan swallowed. You do. My mouth went dry. Me? Why me? I'm not special. You are, he said softly. Too softly. You always have been. My heart thudded painfully. He wasn't flirting. He wasn't dramatizing. He meant it. What does he want with me? I whispered. Rowan's gaze slipped to my hands, then to my chest, as though something unseen pulsed beneath my skin. The bond forged when you called me was not what I expected. His voice trembled. It was stronger, deeper, dangerous. Dangerous for who? For you, he murmured. Always for you. I sat up slowly, rubbing my face. So let me get this straight. I do one stupid Ouija ritual. You show up. Some cosmic shadow king gets jealous. And now I might die because of it. Rowan lowered his head. Yes. Great. I deadpanned. Love that for me. A small, startled sound escaped his throat, half laugh, half panic. You should not joke about this. Rowan. If I don't joke, I'm going to scream. His expression softened. It was so painfully tender that it almost made my breath catch. I am here, he whispered. And I will not let him touch you. Yeah. But how long can you keep doing that? A beat. As long as I exist. Something in my chest fractured a little. Hope or fear, I wasn't sure. Days passed. Then a week. Havenbrook prepared for Halloween season, which meant pumpkin displays, cheap decorations, and the constant smell of cinnamon sugar donuts wafting from every cafe. Normally I loved it. Now every shadow felt like it was watching me. Rowan never left my side. Not in a clingy way. In a way that felt deliberate, protective, resigned. But I noticed things. He winced every time Morvith's presence brushed our world. His form flickered under stress. Shadows clung to him a little too tightly. He was weakening. And it was my fault. You're fading, I said one night as we sat on the hood of my car overlooking the quiet town. I am not fading. He said it too fast. Rowan. He sighed. The bond drains me the longer Morvith interferes. He is trying to force me to break from you. If I do, he will take you. If I do not. He looked at his hands, flexing them slowly. He will kill me. I stared at him, horror creeping up my spine. You didn't tell me any of that. You already fear for yourself. I did not want you to fear for me. Too late. He turned then, really looking at me, his eyes luminous in the moonlight. Elijah, please do not fear for me. I have lived so long without purpose. Now, for the first time, I have one. My throat tightened. What purpose? You, he whispered. Sometimes a word isn't a word. It's a confession. He was too close, his breath cool against my cheek. His voice a low hum that slipped beneath my ribs. I felt gravity shift. My heart leaned toward him before I could stop it. But I wasn't ready. Not when wanting him felt like a countdown to losing him. I turned away sharply. Rowan, you can't just say things like that. I speak the truth, he said simply. Yeah, well, sometimes the truth hurts. He smiled sadly. Then we match. The silence that followed held too much. 2 days later, everything snapped. I had just left the campus library when the street went dark. Not a power outage. Not a cloud. Just dark. Like someone had pulled a curtain over reality. Rowan wasn't beside me. For the first time in days she wasn't there. My heartbeat spiked. Rowan? No answer. The air thickened. My breath crystallized into frost. Shadows gathered at the far end of the empty street, swirling, forming shape. A tall silhouette emerged. The crown. The voice like crushing stone. Morvith. You should not walk alone, he said. But I suppose that is his failure, not yours. I backed away. What did you do to him? He stepped closer, the shadows shifting around him like living smoke. He resists me. It is entertaining. For now. A cold pressure wrapped around my chest. You do not belong to him, Morvith murmured. Your heart is unclaimed. And I always take what is unclaimed. I'm not a thing, I snapped, though my voice shook. No, he agreed. You are a promise. The shadows lashed out, I flinched, and Rowan appeared in an explosion of silver light, slamming into Morvith with a roar that split the darkness. Elijah, run! I couldn't. The world shook as the two forces collided, light against shadow, fury against hunger. Rowan was losing. Morvith struck him once, a Twisian Rowan's form flickered violently. No! My voice cracked. Morvith turned his head toward me, amused. See? He weakens because he cares. Rowan staggered, collapsing to one knee. Elijah! Stay back, Morvith surged forward. Shadows spearing toward me, and without thinking, I reached for Rowan. Our hands touched, just fingertips, but the world detonated. A blast of light erupted from our skin, ripping through the darkness, shattering Morvith's attack like glass. His roar echoed across the street as he staggered back, clutching his chest. The bond between us burned alive, blazing, undeniable. Rowan stared at me like I'd rewritten the universe. Elijah, he breathed, voice trembling. You chose me. I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure I chose him, or he chose me, or the bond chose us both. Morvith's voice slithered through the fading shadows. This is not over. And with a final pulse of darkness, he vanished, leaving Rowan collapsed in my arms, leaving me shaking with fear, and leaving one impossible truth ringing in my skull. If I loved him, I might lose him. If I didn't, I'd lose myself. And either way, Morvith was coming back. Rowan's body felt weightless in my arms, like he was made of the same pale light flickering across his skin. Rowan, stay awake. My voice cracked. I didn't care. He forced a breath, eyelids fluttering. Elijah, the bond is changing. Morvith will return stronger. Then we'll fight stronger. You do not understand. His fingers gripped mine weakly. Every time we defy him, he tears away pieces of me. If he destroys the bond, I will disappear. If I sever it myself, it will take you with me. My stomach dropped. Hard. So it's a lose-lose. There is a way, he whispered. But you will not like it. Try me. You must choose. Truly choose. His eyes searched mine like he was afraid he wouldn't see me again. If you cast me out of your heart, the bond weakens. Morveth will no longer see you as mine. And what happens to you? Rowan smiled faintly, heartbreakingly. I fade peacefully, without pain. No, my voice was immediate, raw. Not an option. Try again. His hand trembled against my cheek. If instead, you accept the bond. If you accept me, he swallowed. Then I become anchored to this realm, beyond Morvetha's reach. So that's good. It is dangerous. For you. Why? Just tell me. If you accept me fully, our lives intertwine. You will feel what I feel. See what I see. Your heart will beat where mine does. If Morveth strikes at me, he strikes at you. I stared at him, the truth cutting deep. Love him and risk everything. Or let him fade and save myself. It wasn't fair. It wasn't even sane. But losing him wasn't an option. Rowan, I said softly, look at me. He forced his eyes open. I'm not choosing safety, I whispered. I'm choosing you. A sound escaped him, half gasp, half broken prayer. Elijah, before he could protest, the world around us shifted. Silver threads lifted from our joined hands like wisps of smoke, swirling into a bright helix of light that wrapped around us both. The bond wasn't just reacting. It was waking up. Rowan's eyes widened. You don't understand what you're agreeing to. I don't have to understand it, I said. I just have to mean it. And God, I did. I meant every terrified, reckless, impossible part of it. The light wrapped tighter, sinking into our skin. Rowan shuddered, a soft cry breaking from his throat as strength flooded back into him. His form solidified, crystallizing into something sharper, brighter, almost human, almost celestial. He stood slowly, pulling me with him as the bond thrummed like a second heartbeat between us. Elijah, he whispered, voice shaking, you have just saved me. No, I stepped closer. We saved each other. But the moment shattered. A shockwave of darkness tore open the air behind us like a rip through reality. Shadows coiled, rising, twisting, forming into the tall, crowned figure whose presence made the street tremble. Morveth was furious. You defied me, he snarled. You dared anchor him. Rowan stepped in front of me, but this time I grabbed his hand and pulled myself beside him. No more hiding, I said. Morvetha's eyes, two burning pits fixed on me. You bind yourself to him. You choose the lesser creature. You choose ruin. Maybe, I said, heart pounding like thunder. But it's my choice. At that, something ancient cracked. Not in the world. In Morveth. You dare love him. It wasn't a question. It was a sentence. Rowan's grip tightened around mine. You cannot win, Morveth. Morveth raised a hand, and darkness shot forward like blades. Rowan braced, but I didn't flinch. The moment the shadows touched my skin, the bond erupted with a surge of white light so violent it knocked Morveth backward, sending cracks splitting across the street. He screamed, not in pain, in disbelief. The mortal channels it, he hissed. Impossible. Rowan stared at me like he'd never seen me before. Elijah, you wield the bond. I'm not letting him hurt you, I said, breathless with adrenaline. Morveth rose, furious and unraveling. You cannot defeat me. I am eternal. Good, I said. Then you'll be around to remember this. Rowan reached for me without looking, trusting the bond to guide us. Together we lifted our joined hands. Light surged outward in a single, perfect pulse. A heartbeat made of two souls. It struck Morveth dead center. His crown shattered. His form fragmented into smoke and shadow and fury. His final words twisted through the collapsing darkness. This is not an ending. Rowan's voice was quiet. No. It is a beginning. Morveth vanished in a howl of torn reality. Silence fell. Wind brushed the street. Lights flickered back on. The world realigned like nothing had happened. Except everything had. Rowan exhaled shakily, looking down at our linked hands like he still couldn't believe they existed. Are you hurt? No, I said. You? He shook his head. Then a soft, disbelieving smile curved his lips. Elijah, I am free. Something warm bloomed in my chest, spreading slowly, gently, deeply. I reached up, cupping his jaw. So, what now? Rowan leaned into my touch like it was the first real thing he'd ever felt. Now I learn how to live in your world. Now I learn what it means to stay. And me, you, he said, stepping closer. Learn what it means to have a heart bound to mine. His forehead rested against mine, breath mingling. The world around us quiet and endless. I closed my eyes. For the first time since the ritual, I wasn't afraid. For the first time ever, I felt found. Rowan's voice brushed my ear in a whisper barely louder than the wind. Elijah, may I? I didn't ask what he meant. I didn't need to. Yes. His lips met mine. Cool at first, then warm, then everything. The bond sang between us bright, alive, new wrapping us in light only we could feel. When he pulled back, his eyes glowed like dawn. I am yours, he murmured. And for once, the fear didn't come, only the answer. And I'm yours, not because of fate, not because of magic, because I chose him, the supernatural being I accidentally summoned, the protector who refused to leave, the man who risked everything for me, the man I loved. Our fingers intertwined again, effortless and sure. Rowan looked out over the quiet, familiar town, breathing in like the world tasted different now. Elijah, he said softly, let us begin. And together we walked toward the light. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.